if you're reading from the second Sunday of Lent from the Common Lectionary, it's very short. It's short verses, but it's where some people come up to Jesus and they're saying that, you really need to get out of here. Herod's trying to get rid of you. So, what in the world is going on with this week's gospel reading? It's really short, it's a short passage, and yet, well, there's really so much going on. A group of Pharisees seems to be warning Jesus of impending trouble for him. That's pretty unexpected, right? I mean, well, aren't the Pharisees usually the ones trying to get Jesus into trouble? At least that was the way it was with Jesus Christ Superstar back when that was a popular play. And then Jesus says a bunch of confusing things, and then the scene is over. It's boom, short to the point, and it's boom, what's going on here? So, did you notice, if you've gone back and looked for your second Sunday of Lent in Common Lectionary, you notice Jesus calls Herod a fox. Yes, it actually is a word in Greek, and it's literally the word for fox. I don't know how to pronounce it anymore. And it says as an animal. And the only other time that word is used in the New Testament is when Jesus is going to be speaking of his call to travel light in his ministry, and something to the effect of, foxes have dens and birds have nests, but I have no place to lay my head. That comes up in Luke 9, verse 58. He could have just said that instead of that fox, that jerk, that pain in the butt, or something else that might be more direct than fox. But instead, he chooses to compare Herod, to a specific type of animal. Oh, and by the way, this isn't the same Herod we met a month or so ago who sent, the wise men to find Jesus. That was Herod the Great. This is his son, Herod Antipas. He's the same one who had John the Baptist beheaded as a favor to his wife. Notice, too, that Jesus also chooses to compare himself to a specific type of animal, a chicken. And yes, if you're curious, the word also appears and literally means the same thing in Greek. This isn't just some weird translation of a figure of speech from Greek. He's actually using the words fox and chicken here. And by choosing these two words, these two animals, he must be doing something deliberate, don't you think? Why a fox? Well, the immediate answer that comes to mind is, foxes are related to dogs. And dog wasn't a particularly complimentary thing to call someone in Jesus's culture. We see dog used as an insult elsewhere in the Bible. Dogs and foxes were considered to be real pests. It would be like calling someone a rat or a cockroach. And even today, in our culture, foxes are generally thought of as being, smart and crafty, and not in a good way. They're tricksters, fickle, cowardly, cunning, and always up to no good. I think it's more common nowadays to use the term weasel to describe someone like that, but calling someone a fox would have been the same meaning back then. For example, one of Aesop's fables, The Fox and the Crow, has a fox using its wits to trick a crow into dropping food through flattery. Flattery. In his famous book, The Prince, Machiavelli describes a successful politician as having traits of both a fox and a lion. Lions represent all things noble and brave and just, while foxes are slick and sly and not so trustworthy. Foxes are also carnivorous. They're predators. You farmers, well, they hate foxes because foxes have a tendency to kill the chickens. So wait a minute. Isn't a chicken exactly what Jesus just compared himself to? When Jesus compares himself to a chicken, he makes it clear that he's specifically referencing, well, the maternal nature of hens. He talks about how a mother hen will gather her brood, her chicks, up under her wings, to protect them from harm. Now, I remember when I was a kid, we had a chicken coop. We did not live on a farm. I'm from Ohio. It was a decent sized city, not out in the country, and definitely not a farm. But we had the chickens when I was young, and it was fun going to the chicken coop to pick up the eggs, to go in there and kind of. But I don't remember very much about their behavior. So I had to do some Googling to learn about this phenomenon that Jesus is talking about. Apparently, anytime there's a threat, whether it's a predator or a barn fire or the rain, a mother hen clucks loudly and spreads out her wings, and her chicks instinctively know how to take cover. There's been a story back when they had the fires out there in California about one of the areas that had caught on fire, and when they were going through the rubble, they thought everything was just scrap. And sure enough, when they loosened, well, the hen was burned, but the baby chicks that were under her were safe. So this story comes up, and it just reminds me of what Jesus is saying in this image. This is the image Jesus chooses to use as a metaphor for himself. Well, foxes eat chickens, and chickens protect their young. So it's safe to say that if the fox and the hen were to meet, the fox would likely go after the hen. And how would the hen respond? Well, if she had babies, if she had chicks, she would likely call out very loudly, offering them her wings for shelter. She would hide them there, shielding them from danger, even if it meant giving up her own life in the process. A mother hen will do anything for her babies. Perhaps this answers our earlier question, why a fox and why a chicken? It seems as though Jesus is trying to set up a contrast here between himself and Herod. Herod is a threat, not just Herod himself. He's small potatoes, really, in the scheme of things. But what he represents, earthly power according to a human definition of power, is a nasty thing. This type of power preys on the weak and the defenseless, those least able to help themselves. It's cowardly, really. This type of power often makes those who wield or seek to wield it, well, mostly dishonest, conniving, and certainly untrustworthy. So like a fox, this type of power is loud, often obnoxious. Have you ever heard the sound foxes make? It's pretty unmistakable. This stands in contrast to the gentle and meek and quiet courage of a mother hen who is willing to give up her life for her babies, for her young. She responds to threats not by running and hiding like a cowardly fox, but by making sure others are protected. She gathers her young together in the face of danger rather than allowing them to scatter and be isolated. She calls to them, and they know she will protect them. This is the kind of power Jesus has. It's subtle, it's quiet. It doesn't really look all that powerful to our human eyes, but it is. And the church said, Amen.